Okay. Let me try something. All right. Bonnie, can you hear me? Ah, you can? Wow. Okay, hi. Now, got the dog, sorry. Oh, this has been an adventure. All right. You know what? I probably should zoom it back out. Hold on just a second. Let me zoom it back out. Okay. Hi, Bonnie. I wish I could see you. We'll have to figure that out next. All right. All right. Well, what are you working on today, Bonnie? Oh, I know. I love your sense of humor. Yes, I have to read my camera book and figure out how to get these things off. I wanted to film it with the camera because it'll do a better job than the laptop. But since I didn't plan this out ahead, can you tell sometimes I wait till the last minute? Since I didn't plan it out ahead, I unfortunately don't know how to get rid of that. Sorry about that. But let me bring the camera down just a touch. Whoa. All right, hold on. Okay. All right, let's see. How do you like being the guinea pig there? You are the sad person that's having to watch me figure this stuff out. It's a brand new world, Bonnie. Brand new world. So, oh, you like, let me see. You like pigs. Do I have a pig somewhere? I'm trying to figure this out. So, in fact, come here, Gromit. Come here. Hold on a sec. Come here, Gromit. Come here. Come here. Hold on a second. I'll show you. This is my favorite puppy. This is Gromit. And he is my baby. He is my baby. I have 3 dogs, and I shouldn't say I prefer. Oh, you have guinea pigs? Oh, great. Well, I do love guinea pigs too. Especially the long-haired ones are pretty, but I probably would have to groom them, and that might be a lot of work. But I'm excited this works because I'd like to start doing this more often. And that way we can kind of all chat and see what everybody's doing and kind of sew together. Because that's one thing I miss is having a sewing buddy. And this is nice. Oops, let me put my glasses back on. Can't see worth a darn without them. Oh! Okay, you're much sharper than me today. You are a guinea pig. That's true. That's true. But you've been so good from the start. I hope one day we'll meet in person. Way back when all of this stuff first started, when I first got HGTV channel, I joined the HGTV chat room and made all these friends all over the country because all that stuff was new. You know, back then we had instant messenger and people would bing you and you'd come run to say hi. It was so exciting. I do miss having instant messenger. But anyway, I made all these friends, some through the garden shows, but most through Alex Anderson's Simply Quilts. Was that the name of her show? And in fact, I chatted with her because she used to have a weekly chat when they first started out. It was so much fun. And she and I are about the same age, but she looks a whole lot better than me. But anyway, I ended up having 1 or 2 reunions of the chatters. And people came as far as Kansas, Missouri, Pennsylvania, Connecticut, all over. And there was a sweet lady from Missouri, Miss Jo. I'm sure she's passed by now. But she sent us blueberries, fresh blueberries from her farm in Mississippi. So, and I had them all stay at my house. You know, I guess I didn't expect anything bad to happen, and nothing ever did. So it was a lot of fun. Let me see. I got to keep these on if I'm going to see what you're saying. Whoops. Where did that chat go? Okay. Illinois. Oh, I love it. Yeah, you know what? You're not that far away. We have to get together at some point. I tell you, wouldn't it be fun if we could all meet in Missouri and go see Ashley Walters and Jenny Doan? Oh, my God, that'd be fun. I'd love to spend a whole week between the 2 places. I think that would be neat. But I haven't done a lot of quilt traveling yet. I hope to. Mark and I think that once he retires, we'll hit the road in the RV. And That would be nice. That would really be nice, because I don't know about you, but I settled down way too early. I only went through 2 years of college. Well, actually 1 year. Can't count the second. And then I got married, bought a house by the time I was 20, started having babies 2 years later. I don't know what I was thinking. So now it's like my second childhood, and I'm loving it. My son and his wife were here yesterday, and I took them upstairs to my frame room, and I painted the frame room like it's underwater. And I have blue lights that I plug in, icicle lights, and these couple of little fish hanging from the ceiling. And I said, I'm having a second childhood because I grew up way too soon. So I'm having fun. And if, you know what, at this stage, if it's not fun, why do it? That's how I feel. But let me see what else is going on. Oh, yes. Missouri Star Quilt Company is. And boy, have they revitalized that town. It's amazing what they've done. They've got the best kids, I tell you. Now, see, I like it. See, I should never have grown up. I really should never have grown up. Oh, he's coming over tonight, and I've collected a few more things, and I've decided, I don't know if I told y'all, but I've decided to look through my bins of corduroys and fleeces and try to find some tactile fabrics. In fact, you won't believe this. I ordered a new pair of Skechers because they're the only shoes I'll wear now. They're so comfortable. And it came with a key ring that has a sample of the memory foam that's in the sole of the shoe. And it feels so neat. It's smooth and a little bit squishy and not really sticky, but it's not slick. And it feels so neat. And I said, I feel bad as a Nana, but I like that thing too much to give it to him. And when I went to see a movie and I got a little restless in my seat, I was kind of rubbing on it. And so, heck, who knows? I might make a fidget book for myself. But we went to see Mamma Mia. Mark read the reviews, and he said he wasn't going to go. He said that he read it was too much about the young people. And honestly, I kind of agree with him. The magic of the first movie was watching all these 50 and 60-year-olds have fun and relive that special time in their life. Well, and in this movie, Meryl Streep, you only saw her at the end. And I just love her. I just really love her. So it was good. And boy, some of the songs get you going, you know. And but he was right. We missed it being more about the older people. But, you know, you've got to be ready for that young generation. What can we say? We've had our heyday, and now we will play the supporting cast. How does that sound? So let me see what we've got here. Yeah, Mamma Mia, Here We Go Again. Mamma Mia, Here We Go Again. I guess it's the part 2. But I tell you what, there's a scene in there. My daughters and I, because all my kids were in town this week, and 2 of them live up in Maryland, one on the Eastern Shore and one outside Baltimore. And then my one daughter who lives a half an hour from here. And so they all had vacation with her down at her house. And what was I going to say? Uh-oh, I'm having one of those senior moments. But they were here this week. Oh, and so we all went to see Mamma Mia. And so my girls and I, we were sitting there during the movie. And when this one scene with Meryl Streep and the star of the movie, oh gosh, we were boohooing. It was tissue time for sure. It was just so poignant. And that was special. That was special. So, well, I'll tell you what I'm working on right now, if you're interested. It's this. Oh, and I made a little video to try to garner interest in this so people would show up today. But it's kind of nice it's just us because we can practice and will be the founding members of the live chats. But I made a little video, went upstairs to edit it. It was only 2 minutes long, and I thought I'll get it right on, and then people know what we're going to do. And it came up as a data file. I have no idea why it was a data file, but I couldn't upload it. So, but what I thought I would do today while we're here is work on my Mary Mayhem Case 107 scrappy version. And Mary May, she lives in New Jersey. She's a wonderful quilt designer, and you can find her on the website. And I've done her mysteries for probably 10 years. And in fact, for a few years, I was a quilt tester, but I wasn't a very good quilt tester. Let me tell you why. I'm a visual learner, and so I would rather, once I read how much of each fabric you need and I read the cutting instructions, then I kind of just like to look at the pictures and put it together. Some people would say I don't like to take instructions well. And I tend to want to find my own way, and I always change things, and I kind of dance to the beat of my own drummer. And so I realized she needed testers, not to make the quilt, but to test her pattern writing, to try to catch mistakes. Well, I didn't like I've never been one to like reading instructions. If I buy, let's say, a bookcase and it comes with instructions to put it together, I don't really read them. And my dad used to say, if all else fails, read the instructions. That's who I am. So I finally realized that it was not my thing to test patterns. But I tested patterns for about 5 years for 3 different people. And it was fun kind of being in on it early and showing up at the actual mystery quilt day. And in fact, sometimes I would help answer questions for some of the people. And so that's kind of neat. But anyway, she's got this coming up August 12th. And it's use your scraps. So I totally shopped my scraps, and I'm going to do it. And normally I'm not a scrappy person, but I bet you, let me see. Oh, you're working on a Fat Cat pattern block. Ooh, neat. Dinosaurs. Wow. Oh, and you test for the Quilt Pattern magazine. Good for you. They are good. Boy, when I get their email newsletters, there's so much going on. That's wonderful. You're at the computer, so you have to stay there, no sewing machine. Well, yeah, I'm not going to sew today probably either. Look at what I have to cut out. And she gives you step 1. So if you're real good and you get prepared early, she does this to make sure you're ready. Because she does a 1-day only mystery. So you've got to hit the ground running. And but I'll put this closer so you can see. I'm going to do the throw size. I rarely make anything bigger than throw size. But do you see I have a whole lot of cutting to do? A whole lot. So I'm going to get busy on that today. There's the crib size. I don't know. I kind of like the challenge of doing a throw. And you know what's funny? Well, I take turns putting them on my walls or I give them away. But I have yet to make a quilt for any of my beds or my kids' bed. Well, my grandchildren, but that's about it. So let me show you what I did. I was thinking, okay, scrappy. I immediately freeze up when I hear someone say, let's make a scrappy and do it out of your own stash. I freeze up like, oh my God, that's pressure. That's scary. And I told myself, and she told me in the pattern too, this is why I love her to death. She said, pick your focus fabric or your border fabric. Pick that first. And I know to pick focus fabric too. But I bet you if I give you 3 guesses and the first 2 don't count, you know who the designer of this fabric is. Let's see if you figure out that. Thank you. It is pretty, isn't it? And it's unusual. And the thing that I love about it is it's got olive green. I guess you would call it an olive. And purple. Yeah, the designer, my favorite designer, the woman I kind of am almost a stalker of. So the name of her is Jenny Beyer. And I have a whole thing of Jenny Beyer fabric. So I said, someone told me, I guess about a year ago, I've got Jenny Beyer kits. I've got tons of Jenny Beyer fabric, but it kind of becomes almost too sacred, and I'm afraid to use it. And it's like I keep waiting to become a better quilter before I use my Jenny Beyer stash. And you know what? If I keep waiting, it might be too late. And then my kids will probably sell it at a yard sale for 50 cents. So I am going to use this. So I found this, and it was unusual colors. Oh, I love Stonehenge fabrics. Oh, they're wonderful. And they keep coming out with these new lines based on it. I made a quilt out of Stonehenge fabric some years ago. I dearly, dearly love it. So I'm with you there. You've got good taste. So I'm going to show you what I chose to go with this and see what you think. Oh, and let me see. That was my grandma's philosophy. Use what you love and use it all the time because you never know when you can't. That is so true. And, we all save our good china. We save, our best dress for what? And I don't want to be the one that, just gets buried with it. So this is my new philosophy is use it, love it, enjoy it. Because I have a Moonglow quilt kit that I bought probably almost 20 years ago that I haven't made. And you know what? If I had made it right away, I'd be enjoying it. And yeah, I'd have mistakes, but everything has mistakes. The only thing that doesn't make a mistake is a computer. So, hey, use it, enjoy it. But this friend said to me, what are you waiting for? And I thought, you're right. I mean, and we're not guaranteed everything, and so make the most, use it, enjoy it. So anyway, so let me show you. It has like blues and purples. So I've kind of done both in here. And it wants you to use quite a few different colors. So here are my purples to go with it. And I think these look pretty good. And I know, where is my teal? I am a teal nut lately. And I never thought that would be something I would go for. I was never a turquoise kind of girl. And so when these colors started showing up, I thought, I don't know if I'll end up liking those. Oh, yeah. I love them. Pardon me. Do you think I like water? Sadly, I have type 2 diabetes, and I need to work harder on getting my A1C down. But I drink water 24 hours a day. I allow myself 1 Coke Zero a day, and sometimes a little low carb lemonade. But I was warned for years to get my weight down, and I didn't, so here I am. But I'm still trying. I wake up every day committed. I should be committed. So, nothing better than ice water. Okay, I'm not sure if I'm going to use this, Bonnie, and I'll probably need some advice. It's a Jenny Buyer, which I'd like to think almost all Jenny Buyers would work together. But I don't know. It's hard to tell. I look at this and I think, I don't know. But the good thing is it does combine the blue and the green. But I'll wait and see. Maybe, hold on one second, sweetie. All right. Maybe at somewhere in the middle, I can use it. All right. Then I went over to the closet and picked out my greens and blues. And I think, let me back up just a touch. Hold on. Sorry about this. All right. I picked out my blues and greens because I picked blues that had like a purple cast to them, like a periwinkle, and then greens. And then I thought, I need a very light green. I've got a very light blue, but she wants you to use a lot of contrast. And I went back over there, and I remember now buying this. It's a Jenny Buyer. I don't know if you can see it good. It's got a pattern. It's got a very subtle floral pattern. And I got so excited. It's perfect. And if you look at some of the colors, it has a chartreusey looking, real pale green. You know what? The hard thing about the camera, it doesn't show you fully because where it's light, it's really like a chartreuse. So it goes from the deepest, darkest green to a deep purple. And I'm going to kind of run all the things. And one of the things that I learned from Jenny, in 2009, I was lucky enough to go to her last seminar. I was so afraid I would never make it to her seminars. But I went to her last seminar, and I took a class on color. Color has always been a little tough for me. Even though I took a color course in my little bit of college, but it's tricky. And sometimes I tend to love very bold and graphic things. And I forget the lights and the mediums. And without those, the quilt looks flat. So I've had a big problem with flat-looking quilts. So she talked about, and I love this. I have all of her books, and I read on her extensively because what drew me to her, and I even found that really dark green. But what drew me to her was her use of color, and she captures light and makes it glow, and I dearly love that. So she said, don't just look at the dots on the selvage of the fabric and match those fabrics. And she actually showed 3 quilts, same pattern, same fabric line, but in one of them, she made the quilt pattern with fabrics that exactly matched the ones in her focus fabric, in her border. And she was right. The quilt looked flat. Like anybody could have made it. No big deal. I mean, a quilt you see and you walk right on by. And then she showed us that if you take the colors that are actually in your focus fabric or border, and you choose lighter or darker versions of that fabric, that it makes the quilt come alive. It gives it that pop. And that's why I was so excited to find this, because it's so very pale, where most of the fabrics in the quilt could be found like in this range. Do you see what happens? This is a chartreuse, but do you see what happens when you put that together? Now, look at the difference. Now, this is a pretty good pop. That looks pretty good too. And then you put this, and you really got something going. So let me put it on this side. But see, if you just looked at what was on the quilt, you might instead come up with this. Well, that's fine, but you see how it's just kind of flat? And then you add this, and it comes to life. So that's what I've learned. And as much as I love Jenny Beyer, there was a fabric that I consider but ugly, and I'm going to use it in this just because it's the only fabric I've found of hers that I went, oh, that is just ugly. But just because I might think it's ugly doesn't mean it's not useful to this quilt. And it's like when you have a choir. Okay, the soprano's the star, the bass gets attention, the tenor makes your heart just sing, but you need all the voices to really round out that sound. And you pull one of them out, and it's just not the same. So this is what that's going to be, even though I consider it very ugly. So it's going to be fun. So I thought I would end up, now let me see if you've said something. Ah, good point about the backing fabric. Yep. Thank you. I was tickled on that about that too. Yeah. Crop circles, exactly. It's like, oh, gee. Every time I see these crop circles, I first think, well, that's pretty cool. They really worked hard on that. And then I think, that was a lot of wheat they damaged. You know, that how many loaves of bread could have been made? That's what I realized. Okay, I am getting older. Yep. I'm thinking of all that grain that's laying there on the ground, ruined. So, in fact, what was it the other day? Maybe it was in Mamma Mia. It was a scene where they were running through a wheat field and they had a path just wide enough to run through. I was so happy that the person chasing the other person ran right down the already destroyed path crop in that wheat field. See, that's what's going through my mind when I'm sitting at the movies. Oh, good. Anyway, well, I might get busy and start cutting. Now, did I ask you what you're working on? Because I'd love to know what you're working. That's the reason you're eating white bread. They used up the wheat. I love it. Oh, that's super. This is going to be fun. I thank you from the bottom of my heart. You have been a doll baby from the beginning. You supported me. You keep me going. You give me that energy that means so much. And I probably mentioned a little bit about me. When my kids were little, I needed something to get me out of the house, something for me to do that was fun. And I went to a continuing education class and it said quilting. And I thought, oh, okay, I like to sew. I'll see what that's about. So I went and took this class. I was very cheap. I mean, trying to raise 3 kids, you're pinching every penny, counting every penny. But anyway, during the class, this was probably in 1988, and everything was cardboard templates. I spent most of the time in the class copying her cardboard templates, tracing them out on paper so that later I would have them to use. And it wasn't long after that everybody started using rotary cutters and templates were obsolete. I do not know where those templates are. I never used them. And I made one sampler quilt. She had us make a sampler. And I found that I changed almost every block in there, whether it was making hand crocheted lace to put around the grandmother's fan or whatever. I made it my own. And I still have not finished hand quilting it, because back then it was all pastels, ginghams. What is that word we call? It's a word that the Indians use just for muslin. Indians from India, muslin, but calico, and there are tons of calicos. None of the exciting fabric we have now, and I bet you half of that quilt is cotton poly. People don't realize we didn't even have a lot of 100% cotton to choose from back then. But once rotary cutters came into existence and these self-healing mats, oh my gosh, the world changed with quilting. But back then, I just didn't like pastels, and I just didn't like Sunbonnet Sue. I'm sorry, she gets on my nerves. And so I kind of dropped out of quilting after that. Found out I was really bad at quilting. The hand stitching, no problem. I picked up hand quilting, but my stitches were a little large. But I kind of put it down, got busy with raising kids. Plus, I took a job at historic St. Mary City in Maryland, birthplace of Maryland, making costumes for 26 living history interpreters. That kept me so busy. So I did that for about 8 years. After I got double pneumonia, I said, I can't keep this up. I was part-time and working so hard. And I have a cute story. I had a volunteer group because I just couldn't manage the workload by myself. And they decided, let's make a raffle quilt and we'll raise money for the costume program. Because not only was I the only person when I got hired to outfit these people, I had a budget of $1,000. That doesn't go far when you're buying wools, when you're buying linen canvas, pure linen, and shoes, and custom-made hats. I mean, it was not much of a budget. So they started doing fundraisers. And every Maryland Days in March, we would have a booth set up, and they would sell baked goods. So they said, let's make a quilt, and we'll raise money with this and raffle this quilt off. So I made a block for the quilt, and they said, Deb, thanks, but no thanks. They were very polite, but they were like, none of this matches up. My seam allowances were all over the place. And I was so used to what I called triage sewing, which means how fast can I put a garment together? I mean, get it on a body, out the door. And so seam allowances and all of this stuff didn't mean that much to me. And so anyway, they said, well, I know what you can do. You could make the center block of the quilt, which is going to be the replica of the Dove. And the Dove was one of the two first ships that came over, carried the supplies. So that's where my artistic nature kicked in. And I did rigging, embroidery, embroidered rigging, and I made it pretty accurate. It was kind of cool. So, but I learned that my quilting skills were sadly deficient. So after I quit St. Mary City, I kind of started picking it back up. I missed sewing, and but I had a lot to learn. And I was mostly self-taught, except for that class I took in the beginning, with the adult continuing ed. I pretty much taught myself. And then I became a guild president. I joined a guild there and then became guild president for 2 years. And then I moved here. And I joined a guild here, but I just didn't do anything for my love of quilting like I wanted. I didn't feel like I was meeting people like I wanted. Such a large group, and it's hard in large groups to make it intimate enough to welcome a newcomer. And then there was a daytime group that started, and I liked that better, but the shop closed. So I called a couple of friends and said, I'd like to start a group. And so I did. And I started the group 9 years and ran it. But about a year, it was over a year ago, I just ran out of steam. And I thought, I'm ready for something new. And that's why I'm here. So it's nice because I can do it on my own schedule, and I'm a little more free to do what I want to. So let me see what you've written. Yeah. Oh, thank you. You are so sweet. Oh, I love applique too. I love it. Your butterfly box or another wall hanging. Oh, good. Oh, good idea for recycling office file folders. Oh, good. You make templates out of them. See, that's one thing I love is how can I reuse something so it doesn't just sit in a landfill? Are there other people here? Oh, I hope so. Yes, there must be. Let's say hi to, I've been talking so much I didn't notice. Hello, other people. Yay! That's great. This is fun. Well, introduce yourself, people. I would love to see who you are and learn something about you. And then I'd like to get an opinion. What's good for y'all? Would you like me to do these live feeds during the week or Sundays at 3? But I'd love to get other people's opinion. That would be nice. Oh, all right. Somebody's shy. That's okay. They might want to just hang out incognito for a while until they figure out, what is this woman about? But thank you, Bonnie. You've been so welcome from the time I started this all. And I just love making these videos too. Sunday's a good day? Okay. Good point. Good point. All right. All right. So why don't we just say, unless something comes up, we'll plan on Sunday at 3. I like that. And Illinois, are you still on Eastern time or are you Central? Oh, thank you, sweetie. So, and Central time. Okay, I'll try to remember that. All right. Also, what I'll do is probably start a poll. I'm Eastern time, yes. And I'll start a poll and see what kind of subjects would you like me to cover. Melissa Campbell. Hi, Melissa. Ozarks, yay. Are you an Arkansas gal? Oh, Melissa, you've come to the right place. You've come to the right place. Well, we start doing these every Sunday at 3, and whatever you want to learn, I'm here to teach. Also, Missouri. Oh, that's wonderful. Wonderful. And so, let me know, what kind of topic. And I can even make a video on it, and that way you can watch it over and over again. In fact, I'm going to see if I can't, the live chat, so I'm going to see if I can't post these too. So that'll be great. Oh, Missouri, that's nice. I hope your weather has been good lately. We had so much rain last week, and good. We've got a Jody K from Ohio. Oh boy, I wish I could pronounce her city name. My goodness. Oh boy, I'm not even going to try it. Chillicothe. I am sure whichever way that she would say that. Wow. That's great. I am so tickled. Wonderful, wonderful. Yeah, maybe we'll just sit and talk today then and kind of get to know each other just a touch. And, but yeah, Bonnie, if you like, now, when you say you do fusible applique, do you hand stitch it in place? I tend to like to hand stitch applique, but if I'm in a hurry or I'm just not in the mood to do hand stitches, oh, there's a hummingbird war outside my window. But it says, never attempted applique, would love to learn. Oh, it's wonderful. You know what I find, Melissa, since you're new to quilting, one of the best pieces of advice I can give you is to have two different kinds of projects. Have a project you can work at sitting at your machine, and then learn hand sewing, whether it's applique or hand piecing, because I found that I'm not always in the mood to sit at my machine. I've got hiccups, I'm sorry. Sometimes I am too tired to sit at the machine, or if it's in the evening and I want to be with my sweetie pie Mark and we watch TV at night. So I keep hand projects near the television. And that way I'm always working. And sometimes in a certain project, I'll do some parts hand sewing, some parts machine sewing. And that way, I don't know about y'all, but like if I have a doctor's appointment or somewhere I have to go, or if Mark and I are taking a trip, he prefers to drive, so I take handwork to work on. And it's just very satisfying. Now, I'm probably a lot older than you, Melissa, but what I find is the older I get, the more I need to keep my hands busy. And so if I'm sitting there to watch TV, I can't just sit there. It drives me nuts. So let me see what I've got coming in. Hand stitching. Oh, good. I kind of agree with you, Bonnie. By the time you try to machine stitch applique and you're constantly lifting the presser foot to turn and turn to go around, I agree. Yeah, don't worry about hand stitches. In fact, that's one thing I was going to tell you. Oh, gosh, maybe next time we're together, I'll have my very first quilt here so I can show you. And my stitches were huge. And this quilter said, what good hand quilting. And I said, well, my stitches are kind of big. She goes, it doesn't matter. They're even. She said, the size will come. And she was right. And believe it or not, the smaller the needle, the tighter, the smaller the stitches. So I'll tell you, that's one thing Jenny Beyer taught me. She, even for her hand piecing, she hand pieces and hand quilts all of her work. And she uses a tiny betweens needle when she hand pieces. And it's amazing to watch her. I mean, she can sew. She was on Alex Anderson's show one time, and she said, I can hand sew as fast as you can sew on the machine. So they both got ready. And sure enough, she hand stitched a seam just as fast as Alex Anderson. Now, of course, Alex Anderson had to lift the presser foot and cut the threads and all that. But it was neat to watch. But, yep, I'll be glad. Melissa, you name what it is you want to learn, and I'll be glad to teach you. It's so much fun for me. I think there was a teacher gene in my genetic background. And my daughter is a teacher, and my son-in-law is a teacher. So my son is a teacher. So it just seems to come naturally. And I love quilting so much that I love sharing it with people. It's just a fun thing to do. And yes, it can be expensive, but you don't have to spend that much money if you don't want to. So it's cheaper than some hobbies, more expensive maybe than a couple. But let's see if there's anything else here. Ah, that's perfect. Okay, this week I will make a tutorial on applique, and I'll post it this week, and then next weekend, whatever questions you have. There are about 4 different methods of applique, and one of them is needle turn, which is what I do most often. Then there's freezer paper applique, and freezer paper you buy at the grocery stores, what butchers used to wrap meats in, and one side has like a plasticized finish to it. And you find that if you put fabric on it and iron it, it'll stick to the fabric, but you can easily peel it off. You can reuse it about 4 or 5 times before then it no longer sticks. But what I do with that is if you cut out the fabric about a 1/4 inch larger, like let's say you out of freezer paper you make a leaf shape, cut your fabric out a 1/4 of an inch larger, then you can easily press the edges over to the freezer paper side so that when you lay that leaf down, it's beautifully all encased, no raw edges, and then you can go about stitching it down and pull the paper out. There's 2 ways you can pull the paper out. But, and then there's Eleanor Burns' method where you take right sides together and you stitch fusible interfacing on the back of fabric and you turn it inside out. And that way you can fuse the shape down and then do stitching. And trying to think of what other way. There's English paper piecing, which is very similar to the freezer paper method. So I'll cover all of those on a tutorial this week. And that way, if you have any questions at all, and I love it, I save any scrap bigger than 1.5 inches because since I love applique so much, you can make berries out of scraps, you can make leaves, so it's very economical, very economical. Let's see if there's a new. You have a hard time picking the project and get overwhelmed with all the ideas out there. That's a great idea. We can start with a charm pack. All right. And easily is a relative term. I know. I had a student, she came to me to make her first quilt. Bonnie, you're going to love this. What the quilt she wanted to make, double wedding ring. And darn it, she didn't do a beautiful job of it. I tell you what, it turned out beautifully. So it's like, whatever you're bold and can handle. I'm waiting for my chat to come back up. Oh, I'm so tickled. I'm so glad you found your way here too, Melissa. Quilting is so much fun. And I've had some dear comments that I'm very low-key and relaxed. And to me, that's important. Because I tend to find that women are very hard on themselves and women can be hard on each other. And life is too short and it's too precious. And like I've said before, if you're not enjoying it, then it's a waste of your time. And we work very hard to take care of all the ones we love. And we need to take care of ourselves too. And I believe that no matter what quilt you look at, there's something of value. There's something you can admire. And I always remind people, I don't believe in quilt police. If I were to look at an antique quilt, I would never want to criticize the quilter because she did the best she could with what she had at the time she was doing it. And who knows what brought her to quilting. Who knows what was going on in her life at that moment. And I just feel privileged that she left a part of herself in the form of a quilt for us all to get to know a little bit about her. So it's all precious. It's all good. It all has value. We treasure antique quilts. And whether it was done accurately or not never even crosses my mind. It's that, wow, she left something behind. She left something of herself behind. So that's how I look at modern quilting. That's how I look at people quilting nowadays. And as women, we need to support each other and we need to encourage each other and teach each other. And quilting is not just about cutting fabric apart and putting it back together. It's about community. It's about a sense of belonging. It's about acceptance, joy. You know, all of us have had bumpy roads up and down. And so we need to be there for each other. So that's kind of what I want this to be, is I never want someone to feel like I'm going to judge their work, or any of us are going to judge their work, because we're not. And we're just going to celebrate that you actually did that. And, you know, as a woman, how many of the things we do each day can be undone within 10 minutes? I've never understood why it takes an hour to cook a meal that you can eat in 5 or 7 minutes. I've never understood why when I vacuum the next day it looks like I haven't. So quilting is something that you can look at every day and say, wow, I did that. And it can give people warmth and comfort. It's just awesome. Awesome. And I'm glad to be able to share it. Let me see what else has been written now. Oh, thank you, Melissa. Yes, I love to hear myself talk, don't I? But thank you. And yeah, and you know what? I do not have a fancy machine. Now, what I consider fancy, I spent $750 for, and that's fancy to me. But you don't need a machine with all the bells and whistles. And you just need to have a love for doing it. And I try to do things on the cheap. I've always lived in an environment where we had to be careful, where we had to count the pennies. And I love finding ways to excel within that, you know. And if you watch my studio tour, everything here is mismatched, bought secondhand, bought from building salvage, and then put together. And I actually now prefer that. Even if I could afford a fancy sewing cabinet, I love my cobbled together. It has history. So it's fun for me. But whatever stage some people would rather buy it, that's absolutely fine too. It's whatever makes you happy, because we work hard in this life. Life is hard enough that our fun times should be a lot of fun. And we're lucky. Oh my gosh. Have you ever watched any of the shows like 1900 House or Victorian House? Those people worked the entire time they were awake. We're so fortunate. We are really. I've never wanted to go back in time, because I don't think any of us would have been living on a plantation having servants wait on us hand and foot. So I'm really happy I can run an electric vacuum cleaner around and use a Swiffer duster, and it picks it all up and I'm done. Well, let me check on the comments again. Well, and that's why, Melissa, when you talk about your embroidery option, I didn't get an embroidery option. I said, you know what? I don't even use everything that my machine can do now. I can see me with an embroidery option. It would just be sitting there looking pretty. But I have a feeling you'll learn how to use it, but I'm not that good at it. So anyway, I think I've shown y'all this in some of my videos. And I bought this little piece right here, and it had one of these little mini seam rippers in it when I bought it. But I could tell that it would be easy to topple over. So Mark cut me a scrap piece of plywood, and I painted it and glued this to it. And I love this little thing. And if you don't have somebody who can cut you a piece of plywood, go to the craft store, AC Moore, Michael's, whatever, and over in the wooden birdhouse, they have, you know, each of them has a little selection of wooden things that people like to paint or stain or whatever. And just buy yourself a piece of wood. And that helps keep it stable. But I do want to warn you, keep this lid on it, because I have before come right down on that seam ripper, and that is not a good feeling. It's not. In fact, oh gosh, I got another. I love telling stories. I love telling stories. A woman came to our guild, was teaching a class, and she said she always wore a wrist pincushion. I've not, and I won't now. She said one night she was up sewing and she was in a hurry, and she went, it was late, she was tired, and she went to put the pin back in the wrist pincushion, but she wasn't wearing it. Oh, good. That just got to me. I just thought, oh, I can just picture. So she said she doesn't use wrist pin cushions anymore. And she had a little pin cushion that she was able to put on the edge of her clothing. So anyway, oh gosh, those stories get to me. I've been very lucky. I've never cut myself with my rotary cutter. But I use what's called a June Taylor slotted ruler. Love, 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 love June Taylor slotted ruler. I think this is one of the reasons I've never cut myself. Let me find. I'm going to find. Okay. Because, and the reason I love these is because you put this on your cutting mat and you put the blade in a slot and run it. And I think that's one of the reasons I've never cut myself. I've trimmed off a fingernail prematurely, but it did nothing where I was injured. But I love these slotted rulers. You have to be careful with them. They're easy to break if you're not careful. But what I do is I just get a piece of plastic and super glue, and I put patches on either side of the break. And don't leave tape on them, because then you'll never get the tape off. See, I show you the good and the bad. So, well, I'm going to get ready in about 5 minutes and wrap this up because my grandson's coming over, and we're going to make him a fidget blanket this week. And he's coming over. Be thinking this week, my granddaughter has to have endoscopy done because she's having problems. She's got celiac disease, but she's not feeling that good. And so I'm going to keep my grandson because they're going in tomorrow morning really early, and she's going to have that test done. So I'm hoping they can figure out how to treat it better because, you know, at 13, she needs to be feeling better. And so my grandson's going to stay with us for a couple days while they do the test and get her, you know, back home and on her feet again. So, and hopefully, cross your fingers, I'll have some students for my strawberry quilt class. I made the strawberry quilt, and Wendy Shepard designed it, cute as can be. In fact, you can see it in my videos. In fact, I have 2 more videos to load up about making that strawberry quilt. But let me see what else somebody has written. Let me see. There you go. Oh, the June Taylor ruler will cut your cutting time in less than half. It is amazing because so many of the quilts we make, you do repetitive cutting. And I'll even take painter's tape and mark on, like if I make a bunch of 2.5-inch strips, I'll mark the edge of all the 2.5-inch strips so I don't have to count over each time. But I love the June Taylor ruler. Love, love, love it. All right, let me see. Oh, sure. Oh, thank you, sweetie. Thanks, Bonnie. And yes, I will make sure I record some of the making of the fidget blanket. I think it's going to be lots of fun. And yes, oh, it's 4:30 already. Bonnie, I love you dearly. Thank you for hanging in there with me when it took 20 minutes to get us up and going. And Melissa, it was great to meet you. And if you become a subscriber and send me an email, hopefully get under one of my videos, we have a Yahoo group. The beauty of that is you can ask questions anytime, night or day, and there'll be some other good quilters on there who can answer your question. And when I have time, I try to post little good finds. In fact, Bonnie, anytime Bonnie wants to upload a good idea or a free pattern on there, I would love it. So you can join our Time to Quilt Yahoo group too. We'd love to have you there. All right, let's see. Well, have a great rest of your Sunday. And this week, I'm working on an applique tutorial. So that'll be a lot of fun. All right, and I will see you guys next Sunday at 3 if you can make it. If not, look, I'm going to always try to record them and keep them on the site, so in case you can't make it. And if I can't make it, I'll give you as much heads up as possible. All right. But gosh, ladies, it's been fun, and I look forward to doing this again. We've gotten our feet wet. I think we know what we're doing. And feel free to send me pictures of your work, what's going on in your life, and we'll be glad to talk about it on site. And y'all are the best. 3 p.m. Eastern time. So that would, if y'all are Central time, it'd be 2 p.m. your time. Is that correct? Gosh, I always worry. What if I get it backwards? Oh, all right. Oh, and I'm glad y'all are getting to meet each other. And quilters are the best people, Melissa. They will share anything they have with you. So this is going to be fun. All right. Well, I'll see you next week. Bye-bye. Mwah. Mm.